Hi, everyone. I'm Kathryn Rose, CEO and founder of channelWise. channelWise provides on-demand expert advice for the channel. We know the channel, we know the challenges, and our roster of been there, done that experts are dedicated to helping you and your partners go farther, faster in their business. And today I have the pleasure of welcoming one of our top experts and founding advisory board members, Nancy Ridge, who's the CEO and founder of Ridge Innovative. Hi, Nancy.
Hello, Kathryn. Thank you so much for welcoming me today.
And thanks so much for being here. And I know, you and I have known each other for many years, and you've really, done a lot in the channel, and we've seen it grow and change over the years. And I think now the big buzzword, right, is ecosystem. So let's just jump in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about Ridge Innovative, and then let's talk about what this whole ecosystem idea means.
Fantastic. I love it. One of my favorite topics. And for me, yes, I have been in the channel for many years. I always measure it by my son's life because I was I was a new mom when I first joined the channel. He's 26. So, it's been a while. And I've sat on all sides of the table in this beautiful channel community. And so I have a real heart for it. I wore my little heart today just because there's a lot of love for the channel. And I honestly feel that the idea of ecosystem in that, we play interdependent roles is something that has been a reality, at least for those of us who are kind of woke to the real value of channel for many years. But now I love the fact that it really is a way of doing business that's becoming widely adopted, and people are very curious to learn more about it. So going back to Ridge Innovative, I'm sorry, I just
That's okay.
started talking about ecosystem, and let me not interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just thinking about the whole ecosystem idea because it's like the new buzzword, right? So what is the difference, or what is the evolution that you've seen that, is the channel itself the ecosystem, or is the channel a part of the overall ecosystem?
Kind of both. I mean, when I think about channel ecosystem, those are two different words, right? They're two different things, and we have put them together because it works for us in our space and in our industry. Because really, a channel is a method of distribution, as we understand it, and an ecosystem is beyond that. That's a value creation network, essentially. So we're talking about melding distribution with that value creation network. And I think that's the distinction. When you add channel to it, it really has that focus on distribution. And yet it still carries that fundamental role of interdependency in the value creation network. And so each party that's a part of that ecosystem or that channel plays a role. And the idea is the role they play provides value. That's the big key, right? That it provides value to targeted markets or end users in the delivery of a company's product or services.
Got it. Okay.
So in this ecosystem together, I'm super excited. I just launched an updated version of my website, ridgeinnovative.com. And if you go there and visit the channel ecosystem page, you'll find a video that I made a couple years ago down in Laguna Beach at the tide pools, where I get to use the ecological metaphor to represent what ecosystem really is, because that's where the term comes from, is that biological metaphor. And you get to see how all of these various entities are so different and unique and maybe don't even seem related, but they work together to create that very rich, thriving environment.
And why is it important what we call it, right? Because I talk to MSPs, solution providers, and they'll be like, listen, I don't really care if it's called an ecosystem or not. But yet vendors and suppliers are all, they're changing their titles to be, instead of, channel chief, it's like chief ecosystem, something or other. Like, why is it important what we even name it?
Well, I think it is important because it puts an emphasis on the fact that we are much more interdependent than we used to be. So it's a different mindset. And I believe mindset is everything. If you are going to really embrace the idea of interdependency, then you have to let go of being the center of the universe.
These are my partners, right? So instead of saying that, now it's part of a whole bigger picture.
Or these are my customers. Even that.
Got it. Interesting. So how can, I was talking to someone earlier today and they were like, oh, we're like the old people of the channel. You know what I mean? And I was like, wait, are you talking about me? You might be talking about yourself. But I think it is important to say that it's I mean, I remember when I was younger coming into the channel thinking about like, all the people that came before me and they'll talk about like, oh, this happened then and this happened then. But I think it's important with that knowledge transfer where we do see the evolution so we can speak to it, because the people who are still running a lot of these programs and it came from the legacy channel, right? And so I think it's important, like you said, the mindset shift of a lot of the folks who've been around for a while to be able to see their partners as part of a bigger ecosystem. So what is your advice to those folks who have been in the channel for a while to change their mindset to let's start with attracting new partners?
So attracting new partners. Well, certainly, I think it starts with you really need to look at the traditional way of attracting your partners. Like if you're building an ecosystem or refreshing your program, I think some of the old paradigms still work, right? So it's still really important that you have those first few partners, or you look at your base of partners from kind of the old-fashioned way, because relationships still matter. This is still all about relationships, and that part hasn't changed at all. In fact, it's become even more emphasized because trust has become so much more important in today's world than it ever was before, right? As we become more digital and more digitized, and the partner journey or the customer journey is more digital, having that human interaction piece, that trust, is so much more special today. It's like, how can I believe what I'm reading on the internet? Well, I need somebody that I trust to help me embrace that. So I think, it's really important that organizations still look at, who are their key partners or who do they want to attract. And if you're seeking to build and transform, you want people that have the adopter, the early adopter attitude. And there's been studies done about the different types of people, and Seth Godin wrote a really good book about it. It's called This Is Marketing. That's one of my favorite books that Seth wrote. And in that book, I can't recall all the exact details, but he talks about the different types of people, and he mentions that the early adopters are the ones who are innovating. They're the ones who are willing to like try to do things differently. And I think for those folks who come from the more traditional side of things, that we want to expose ourselves to those people. We want to embrace them. We want to bring them into our channel programs as leaders. And I think that's why you're seeing some of the really big companies doing that. We've seen that across the board, whether it's at, Amazon or IBM. They're bringing in people that kind of are fresh, to the whole environment. And that is, I think, a key element because we need those innovative ideas. So I'm not sure if that's a little too roundabout, but honestly, for those of us who've been around forever, all I can say is, it's time to wake up and let go of some of the old paradigms and really just get with the flow of what's happening now. Because first of all, it's fun. I'm all about fun. I think, we need to enjoy what we're doing and feel good about it because that's an attraction. And second of all, we're here to like change things, right? We don't want the same old thing. And our customers don't want the same old thing. They can't be competitive if they're trying to approach the market the way they used to before. So if we're going to be good partners to them, we need to be having those early adopter mindsets as well, and bringing that to the table along with the partners that reflect that too, so that at the end of the day, the customer experience is going to be what they need to stay competitive.
That's absolutely, obviously, the key to it is meeting folks where they are to help them do more business and help them be more competitive at the end of the day. Um, some of the best practices I think I'd like to dive into, that you can really talk to about to those out there who are listening that are maybe starting to enter the channel. Let's start there. Like the folks who are thinking about, maybe entering the channel, what are some of the best practices and advice that you can give those people?
Well, the first one is work with Ridge Innovative. Can't help but be, a little shameless with that. But honestly, the biggest blocker, and there was a study that was done towards the end of last year on partner operations, and there were a number of key experts that did some surveying. They went out there, did some pretty extensive surveys with some of the leading organizations, both enterprise and SMB. There was a broad swath of people they talked to. And the biggest blocker to improving these new programs or getting them off the ground is a lack of internal expertise on, partner operations, and including on your strategy and development. So you need that executive buy-in, first of all. So it's really important that the leaders at the top also, have that acknowledgement that an ecosystem is really a place where they can value the contribution of every major stakeholder that they need to achieve their goals, and the importance of that interdependence. There was an article written way back in 2013 about ecosystem versus ego system. And so that stakeholder at the top has to start seeing themselves as part of a bigger picture, instead of it's just me, 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 me all the time.
Yeah.
And chances are that within their organization, there's a lot of folks who have followed that path right behind their CEO leadership for, in some cases, their entire careers. And sometimes those folks don't make it. I hate to say it, Kathryn, but I worked with an organization that transitioned from the old paradigm of, direct sales only, we are the center of the universe, to let's go to ecosystem and develop a channel ecosystem program. And within 6 months, there was probably an 80% turnover.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because the folks who had been there before, they couldn't embrace the idea that, first of all, building a channel ecosystem takes time. It's a process.
Yeah.
And because relationships are so important, building those relationships is a process too. So, they were just focused on, hey, I know this is how we've always made money, and I got to keep doing this. So don't keep pulling me away to do all of these other things that I don't think are important. And yet it took a strong leader to say, no, this is the direction that we're going now. And if the leader doesn't do that, you'll have a divided organization and it won't succeed, number one. And if the leader is doing it, there's a chance that some of those folks will leave, and maybe they don't even have the expertise, at the senior level. So it's really important to, choose your partners wisely. That's the other piece I would say.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. You've got to choose your partners wisely, whether it's, someone on the consulting side, which we have so many great, consultants in this business that can help you with that. But also the partners are the people that become part of your ecosystem. And the other thing I would say that is really huge is automation is table stakes. Like, you gotta have, automation, or you're not going to be able to build it or scale it or serve all those partners correctly.
And what do you mean by automation?
So looking at, how we're operating our businesses today, with the need for integration amongst all of our systems. So, pretty much everybody's like using a CRM today, right? most companies have adopted MarTech, in the last 10 years. So they've got, some sort of automated marketing programs that they're utilizing. And now, as partners become more important, we're seeing, the rise of PRMs becoming more, critical to success, as well as just ecosystem platforms in general, whether it's for learning and enablement or for, just sharing data. And all of those systems need to work together.
Right.
So when I talk about automation, I'm talking about, automating those processes from your messaging to your partner onboarding to how you're managing your customer data, how you're retaining those customers. Retention is a big deal. And if you don't have, that data available, because, one of the things that we keep hearing and seeing is that we're going to a subscription-based world.
Yeah.
So you've got to resell that customer every month, pretty much, or at least annually. Back in the traditional channel, again, drawing a distinction, was 3-year contracts, right? No more. So that means that all of that information and data and how you're delivering that partner experience and customer experience, it has to be automated so that you can keep up with the pace and that you can scale your business.
But I would say, from an automation perspective, that doesn't absolve you from the face-to-face, from the hand holding. It's not a situation where you can just say, oh, we have an automated system, and not provide the physical support.
Absolutely not. A bot is not going to do it. And that's why the relationships are still so important, And I mentioned that earlier, the trust comes into it as well.
Right.
It's who is that customer learn to trust, and who do they listen to along their journey and their path? It may be digital, but at the end of the day, they really want to know that there's somebody that will vouch for, what decisions that are being made. But for the processes themselves, we don't want to be doing those manually anymore, or going from one silo to another, trying to, combine data. We need to have that readily available so that we can show up with what the partner and the customer requires in real time.
Fantastic. Well, I know we talked a little bit about the people entering the channel, but what about the folks that have been here for a while? You have some vendors who, they have tens of thousands of partners, and all the way down to 1,000 partners, whatever. But how about those folks being able to increase the efficiency of the channel that they have?
That's a big deal. There's a lot of challenges in that space, not the least of which we're still in an era of merger and acquisition. Yeah. So, there's a tremendous amount of confusion still that exists out there with these organizations who have grown through merger and acquisition. So, it's I think one of the things that's really important is to make sure that they're continuing to, you had brought this up to me earlier, attract and retain, both the employees and the partners that are going to help them make successful. That's where it ties in all that automation piece with the people. So I really think that for organizations to be successful in making the transition, you want to hang on to the, to the tribal knowledge that you have, with your, like, everybody hates it when the channel manager keeps changing.
Yeah.
Right. We want that person that we know, they understand us. They know who our customers are. They know what we like and dislike and how we like to approach our clients. So I think it's a critical piece to make sure that we're creating a workforce environment that is one that will be attractive, not only for people to come, but for people to stay.
It sounds like you're talking about, creating a better, more efficient, and, I guess the trust factor inside your partner experience. So, let's say we get to that, get to that point and we're thinking about how we can make our partner experience more robust, so, shall we say. How would you say that the partner experience affects the customer experience?
Well, I just got finished presenting a whole study on that with my partner Norma Wattenpal from the Phoenix Consulting Group. We did a study over about a year and a half, and we went out to a number of companies, kind of across the board. They weren't all tech companies. There were a lot of tech companies in the mix, but we asked them, how does partner experience affect customer experience, and are they measuring that? Because we know that great customer experience delivers revenue. And with 76% of all transactions happening through partners nowadays, it's becoming more and more important, right, to be able to deliver that good customer experience. And we found a lot of information, through that survey, and we're continuing to gather more data. But there is an ebook coming out, so
Great.
called Partners Are the Customer Experience. We hope to deliver that by the end of the first quarter in the ebook format. But essentially, what we found was that it's absolutely crucial for organizations to take care of their partners. In fact, 86% of the new opportunities that organizations have in their funnel came from partners. So that's huge. The other thing we found in the survey is that, and this part blew us away, was 100% of the companies we surveyed said that partners were the key to them realizing results with clients. In other words, they are acknowledging that partners make the difference today. And I can tell you that even, 3 years ago, it wouldn't have been 100%.
That's
We were
amazing.
still struggling with organizations that felt like they didn't even need a partner team at all.
Wow, what a shift, right? I mean, it's in the evolution. It seems to be accelerated. Do you think COVID had something to do with that?
Yeah, I do, because buyers, the buyer behavior really changed during COVID, like all of us experienced it, right? The buyer became more like a consumer. And we saw that in terms of, how we all got used to buying everything online. So we became very comfortable with the digital journey to achieve what we needed. And we also became used to using apps in order to do that. And, now when you come and of course, we're also seeing a shift not only in that behavior where the buyer is equating more of their experience as a consumer now to what they do in the workplace. So that's becoming very common, and partners make a big difference in that, once again, because we're at that value point. There's so many steps in the journey, as organizations like Forrester and Canalys have looked at this. They've said, there's like 21 steps, in this customer journey, right? And so along the way, you want to make sure that you're there, or that one of your partners is there, so that you can capture that attention and that mindset for the end user customer. So I think that COVID made a big difference in that, because we all had to get a lot more adept at functioning in that environment.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time today, Nancy. We appreciate all of your support here at channelWise and all the years you've supported the channel ecosystems, as we'll now call them. And if any of you out there want to tap into more knowledge from Nancy, go ahead and head over to channelwise.com. We will put her profile link into the comments of this recording. And also, I think that it's important to mention that when your ebook comes out, we'll have you back. So we'll be able to, hopefully we'll have Norma too, and we'll talk about all the information involved in there. And, we can share the study as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And of course, we're here and we want to support the channel. And we also want to support vendors and suppliers who are looking for affordable enablement solutions, because that's what we do, is we help your partners go farther, faster in their business. Thank you again, Nancy, for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you next time on our Ask the Expert series.
Thanks, Kathryn. Thanks for all the good work you do.